we're going to go. I'm really interested to this is some content I've put together over the last 3-4 years, but about after about 36 years in sales, and what's really interesting in the current sales environment. And Tim, Michael, I don't know if you have any experience of this as well, is that the game is changing. Well, the game actually is still the same. Right message, right person, right time. And that for me is sales. The methodology of doing that is changing all the time, and particularly so since the pandemic. So I don't want to be this sort of older white bloke with grey hair telling everyone else how to do it, because frankly, it reset after the pandemic and we are all rediscovering. So I'm just giving you what kind of works for me and with the clients that I work with, what works for them. But obviously, I'm going to anonymize that. I want to exit at 12:30 to help us all manage our time, just a little bit. That would be really, really good. And if you've got any questions in the meantime, let's talk about those as we kind of go through. So we've done all that already. Okay, so last week I talked about go-to-market strategy, talked about the importance of customer segmentation, talked about how your message can change from sector to sector. Your core message probably still the same, but based on the 80-20 rule, you might, if you're selling into financial services, you might tailor your message, or Michael, for instance, if you're selling into local authorities, you might tailor your message more towards that customer segment than if you were selling to a high net worth individual who wanted a playground in their grounds or estate or whatever it happens to be. Alignment of your messages across all your social media strategy, we talked about that. What does the data tell you? And also, if you're, as a number of my clients are, sort of just me's, where there's only kind of one of you, then whatever you don't try to do everything. Whatever you do, just do it well. I refer people to the Bruce Lee sort of mantra. Bruce Lee, martial arts. Have you heard of Bruce Lee? Oh, you may have done. Yeah, okay, good. Right, so Bruce Lee famously said, "I don't fear the person with 10,000 punches. I fear the person that only knows one punch and has practiced it 10,000 times." And I really like that as a sort of mantra for social media. Okay, and then grammar. I'm a bit of a grammar policeman, so that really helps in your written communications, because the people that you and I are communicating with, it needs to be on the mark. Okay, so where are we in the best practice business to business sales process? I started out a couple of weeks ago talking about story, value proposition. In other words, last week we talked about go-to-market strategy. Today we're here on number 3, lead generation, and then that's the list of the next 4 weeks that I'll be doing. I'd be interested to know, and you can either put them in the chat or you can come off of mute by all means. To where are you currently getting your leads from, if indeed you're getting any leads at all? I'm genuinely interested in what you're finding that's helpful, Tim.
So what we do with Cosmos Currency Exchange is we focus entirely on introducers and referrals. So somebody has to be referred into us. We don't advertise, period. Mm-hmm. Mainly because the state of the market is that we couldn't compete with advertising. We only actually want to deal with people that we've built a relationship with, where they've had a one-to-one discovery call, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So we get our leads through building relationships.
Really good. But hold that thought around particular kind of leads. You only want a particular kind of lead, okay? Just as well. Michael, you're welcome to come off of mute, or
he can't, because he's put a message and he hasn't got a microphone.
Okay. Fine. Thank you for. doing my chat. Tim,
Well,
I don't appreciate
I just thought
that.
I better help, because Michael, the mouth will be going and nothing will be coming out.
That's the story of my career, Tim. You're right there. Okay,
Yes, well,
right. So,
that's why you're in sales.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And the other point is the leads need work. So leads on paper is good. Oh, we're getting leads. Well, actually, there's more to it than that. And a lead at this stage is just an opportunity to do a load of work for zero return. And we have to put some thought into that. I'm also interested, and clearly I'm not asking for you to disclose this, but I want you to think about what's your close rate. So let's say for every 100 deals you work on, how many of those do you win? And I would expect the answer not to be one. If you're only getting, or let's say 10%. If you're getting 10%, we'll have a chat afterwards, but don't necessarily advertise that because something's not quite right. And if you're getting more than 51%, then something may also be not quite right because that's unusually high. And I would suggest there's a capacity issue that you should actually therefore be able to serve a bigger market than you currently are. Typical close rate in a business to business sale, anyway, that in a business to business sale is between 30 and 35%. That I would regard as relatively healthy. Right. And then what channels you use for your go-to-market strategy. And the reason why this is important is this guy, Lord Weinstock, who ran Marconi, remember them? If he said, if there's one thing worse than no business, it's bad business. And what do I mean by bad business? Bad business are customers that are too expensive to service because they're prepared to pay you that much, but they want that much, and that's bad business. I used to sit next when I was at HP. I used to sit next to the guy that ran the well, I won't tell you the name of the account, but it was a massive information data company, if you like, a few years ago. And this guy sold millions of pounds worth of servers literally every month. They spent 50, 60 million a year with HP around Europe. And he was always run ragged and always, you'd think you'd be thrilled closing numbers like that. But he said to me, Keith, I've got to run just to stand still. Every single box we sell has something like a 25% loss. And so we have to sell, that much more services to get the blend you're nodding, Michael. We kind of recognize that behavior. So this guy's run ragged, probably earning a fair bit of cash, but actually it was bad business. He viewed it as bad business. If you're the vice president or senior vice president of that division, you probably see it as good business. But when you're on the ground with your sleeves rolled up in the trenches, so to speak, it feels like bad business. Okay, so customer journey. So we are going to get, because we've got the right story, we're choosing our go-to-market strategy nicely. We're going to get all these leads coming in the pot, and they're going to go through various stages. If you want the slides, give me a shout afterwards, and I'll get them to you. They're going to go through various stages, and it should come out the bottom, if you can see my cursor here, as a win or a conclusion, because through no responsibility of ours, deals can go away. Customers change their mind. There can be a number of different reasons for that. The market could have changed, therefore the customer has to withdraw. Customer could go bankrupt. Even that's happened before. Customers going into Chapter 11 cannot trade. They're not allowed to trade because they're technically insolvent. Any amount of reasons, many of them outside of your direct control, but hopefully you should see out of conclusions, you should see about 30 to 35% coming through as wins for your company. And the way that you do that is that you need to form, I'm sure you're familiar with this process, what's your ideal customer profile? What does that look like? So I hope we've got a diverse set of sort of images here to reflect kind of people that we sell to. And so what I teach my customers is when you get a lead come through, whatever wherever that lead kind of comes from, does it conform? Does it look like one of your existing ideal customer profiles? Now, or pen portraits. I've often heard them referred to as pen portraits. Um, I shudder to think anyone would look like any portrait I crafted by pen, but let's hope not. But anyway, you get the point. Um, I even go as far as, let's have a look at the next. Okay, I even go as far as giving these avatars names, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So when that's and one of my customers has even printed out and put it next to a number of PCs for people that take incoming calls. Does this conform? And if it doesn't mean we don't deal with it, but it does mean um, should we be taking on this deal? Because if taking on a conversation is work, and you need to make sure that you're going to get a response to it. Okay, right. So there's a bit of a reflective piece for you to think about, and just to show that I kind of do this. I eat my own dog food, so to speak. I do this myself. So I have got, and you're welcome to this as well if it would help. I have got three, and everyone should have between 3 and 5 customer avatars. When I did a piece of work for BT a couple of years ago, um, even we had a customer profile which is in incredible detail, but we had 5 on a 1.6 billion pound business line item. We only had 5 customer avatars, and that was to remind people the kind of deals that we, were more likely to win than less likely. It's to make sure we get a decent return on effort. So I have Catherine in my mind, and I'll go through and she's permitted me to talk about this. That's her actual name. Catherine is a just me, a professional sales coach, and she coaches particular kinds of businesses. And the outcome I've delivered, this is not intended, this is sounding like a sales pitch now, I'm going through it, but it's not meant to be. It's intended to get you to think about you and your business. But she was run really ragged. I got her to focus on another area which would give her a better return on time. And I'm looking for more coaches. That would be my thought process. Is there a lead that conforms to the process that Catherine is going through, and the process I was able to take her through to get her to focus and become more successful with slightly less effort. I don't want to get into 10x or 20x or 20 or turbocharge, because whenever I hear someone offer me that as a win, I automatically switch off. Life's just not like that. So does that. And I've got Rami. Rami is a sales professional in the Middle East, working for a big tech firm, and new job, had to produce a 100-day plan, and I helped him do that for his new job so that he could impress his country manager when he needed to. And so, do you see what I mean? That's the kind of customer that I want to win. You in your worlds will have customers that you want to win, and they won't be the same as mine, I'm guessing, but they will have similar thought processes. And also have Mario. Mario is actually a customer services person, but the company, he's got a real expertise because he's been working for that company 5 or 6 years. They relocate CEOs from one country to another. And that's a very specialized, because the last thing you want to do is your CEO, sort of relocating to a new home, and is all his belongings take a month extra to get there. That's that's a career limiting exercise if we're not careful. So Mario works for a small company, probably less than 20 people in that company, don't really have a formal sales team, but they want to move this person into more of a sales facing role than a customer. So I'm coaching that person and helping them with their lead development. But that's just me. You're going to have other customers, and that's my three main avatars. You need between 3 and 5 that in as much detail as possible, and what how they came to you, what you did for them, the benefit you delivered, and therefore does each new avatar, do they look like one of those avatars? Each new lead that comes in, do they look like one of those avatars or do they not? And if they don't, then you need to think seriously about whether you're going to pursue that lead, or whether you're going to say, do you know what, this is not quite right for us. I, as a customer service sort of person, as someone who cares a lot about that, I wouldn't ever leave a lead hanging there, because what might be a lead that's not right for you today, in a year or so's time, may be right for you, and that person is going to understand how you made them feel. So there's nothing more frustrating than me phoning up someone, no, we don't do that, and then thank you very much, bye bye. That's a lost opportunity as well. So I would absolutely, if you know something about your market and you can help, I'm going to remember someone who has helped me and steered me in the right direction. I'm absolutely going to remember that. I might even, because this is me, send a message to their CEO and just say, I spoke to this person, and they weren't able to help me directly, but they referred me on to someone. I think that's a really good sales behavior. I want to see more of that in the world, but that's just me. Anyway, so I've majored on that. I think that's a really good thing to do. So I talked about Catherine just briefly. Catherine the coach. I wanted to say Catherine the Great, but she wouldn't agree to that. She was chief executive of a recruitment firm. She'd been doing that for a long time, big, reasonable turnover, sold it, moved on, became a standalone kind of coach. She became really successful at doing that, but she was coaching to very small businesses which had a commensurate, very small budget as well. She found herself working 60, 70 hours a week, and making a reasonable living, but just in danger of burning out if she wasn't careful. And I took her through a process where she boxed herself in. So I took her through a process whereby she started to win higher paying clients. And I don't like using that term, but high net worth individuals or company directors, started coaching to a different audience, and gradually over a period of probably 6 to 9 months, took her out of that really busy space into a less busy space, but generating just as much. So it was a resegmentation of customer, if you like. And that may be something that you want to lead across as well. Okay, right. Focused on 9 minutes to go. There haven't been any questions, but Tim very kindly is watching the chat for me. So if there are, give us a shout. So here's some cold hard facts. There are two types of lead generation activity. There's what I call active lead generation, which is action, proactive action from you or your sales team. And there's what I would call passive. So some are still active, but it's passive as far as you're concerned. It's social media, we call it awareness, brand awareness profile, something that's going on in the market where you're going to phone a customer up and they'll say, oh yeah, I've heard of you because of television advertising, social media, Facebook, whatever it happens to be. That's passive. You would receive that as a salesperson as almost incidental kind of marketing benefit, if you like. So it's not account based, it's incidental, and you're picking that up as a kind of almost like a reflection. You must have a target audience. Back to customer avatars. Right. Now, personal story. My wife, Tracy, and she doesn't mind me telling me the story. We met online. It's the new thing. I got remarried in 2012 to Tracy, and we met on Match.com. Now, she's quite posh, and she was only on Match.com because there was a free offer for about 3 weeks. She was previously on the Times. The Times' own version of that, which probably doesn't exist anymore. And the guy, I was renting a room from a mate of mine, and he said, Keith, you can't do that on your profile. You cannot say that. Um, and I came out of a pretty intense relationship before that, and I actually put on my profile, no neurotics. Okay, and so apologies if that's making anyone feel uncomfortable, but do you know that was that in effect 15 years ago was my avatar. That this is that it's kind of business that I didn't want, if you like, and so I kind of live by that mantra. I know what I want, but I also definitely know what I don't want. And okay, so that's a little sensitive or insensitive, whichever line of the divide you come out on. But it's really important to go through that process because leads, you shouldn't celebrate just getting a lead. You should celebrate getting a win. So I think it's actually incumbent upon us salespeople and business owners to prevent people getting to us that are just going to waste our time. We have to be more selfish about our time. Um, you have to be careful how you kind of have that conversation, but actually, you've got rights and entitlements as a salesperson. You absolutely have a right not to have your time wasted. And there are plenty of people who don't, set out with the express mission of wasting Michael's time or Tim's time. Excuse me. But that's how you're going to experience it when they say, actually, do you know what? I've decided this is what I want to buy. After all, you will experience that as potentially as wasted time. Okay, so and manager. Oh yeah, okay, well, that's nothing. Okay, cool. Okay, right. So leads. Soft and warm facts here. So complete this phrase then. It's not what you know, it's
It's
who
who
you
you
know.
know.
Who you know, right? Now, some of that will never go away. That's always going to be the case, and that's why I love LinkedIn so much. It's who you know, but actually, with the online world, it's much more likely to be not who you know, but who knows you and who knows your company, and that's why nailing LinkedIn as both a personal brand, and I know Michael, you're doing lots of work in this area around personal brand, but also your company brand. Those are two separate things. Your personal brand you will carry with you for the rest of your professional lives, however long that many years you've got ahead in front of you. That you'll carry with you for all time. So it's who knows you, and that's why I love LinkedIn. 70%, if you're doing your lead generation right and you're only getting the right kind of leads coming through, 70% of buyers have already done their research before they even talk to you, such as the joys of social networking, referrals, and recommendations that also come into that as well. So you're kind of getting a buying signal already. Don't put barriers in the way. Yes, you have a responsibility to disqualify, and you can do that pretty quickly, but don't put unnecessary barriers. Some people are just ready to buy already. Yep. And discover what the customer thinks they need. I'm going to go into that more detail this time next week at 12 o'clock next week, where I'm going to talk about qualifying when you're actually in the moment, qualifying opportunities and some hints and tips into getting into that. And you can demonstrate your expertise by asking great questions, by giving your POV, your point of view on a particular subject. Demonstrate. I'm not going to do marketing leads versus sales leads because this was I've got 2 minutes left, and I just want to tell you what's going to happen next week. But a frustration of mine was that I never understood why people were calling something a lead, because I had my salesperson's hat on. I thought that's not a lead. That's someone with a pulse. There's a big difference. Okay, right. So next week, identifying customer needs. So what does the customer want to buy? What do they really want to buy? And that's what I'm going to get to 12 o'clock next week. So I'm hoping that we're going to go through a process. You'll get an invite probably to the invite next week, which I really hope you can make. If you've got any questions about that you want to fire in beforehand, if you found this useful, please tell people about it. There's absolutely no obligation, but if you want to buy something from me, feel free to come to me. I use this as an opportunity to generate content, sell my videos, things like that. That would be fantastic, but no obligation at all. And I enjoy doing it as well. So that's what we're going to be doing 12 o'clock next Thursday. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I haven't seen the chat. I'm going to assume there's nothing else coming in. But thank you very much for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you same time next week. If you've got any questions, just kind of let me know. I'm going to come off of share now just while we're at it. Michael, I know you haven't got a microphone, and I can think of a few other salespeople that I might suggest get the same headset, frankly. Oh, dear me. Anyway, so on that note, have a fantastic rest of the day. Go get them. Speak to you soon.